Everyone. We're going to talk a little bit about the early childhood education programs. And you remember when we spoke about whether a career is a profession, and one of the things that a profession has is standards. And the National Association for the Education of Young Children, or NIAC, has standards for early learning programs to help families find high-quality programs for their children. These standards are based on research and input from educators to experts from across the country. NIAC standards help ensure that programs promote health and nutrition, protect children and staff from injury and illness, that programs use developmentally appropriate teaching methods, and that programs foster all areas of child development, which would be those 4 domains of physical, cognitive, emotional, and social. So there are a couple things that you want to know about programs in Washington State, whether you're choosing them to take your child to or to work at. You want to know the purpose of the program, the description of the families who might use the program, how the program is funded and the cost to families, what regulations, credentials, accreditation, and or licensing is involved, how the program is monitored and by whom, where is the program located, church, elementary school, home, the length of the program, how many hours per day is it available, and approximately how many days per year. What are the main issues that this program has to deal with in regard to providing a quality educational setting for children? So programs for children birth through 5 can be center-based, they can be full day or part day, family child care home, can be a home visiting program, a low-income early program such as Head Start and ECAP, which Washington. Head Start program is ECAP, but Washington has both. The program can be an early intervention program, and it can be foster care. Programs for children 5 through 8 years old can be public schools, private schools, special education, homeschooling, Washington virtual academies, school age care, and foster care. So child care centers, there's different types. There's nonprofit or for-profit. There's military. There's campus or workplace child care centers. They can be licensed by the Department of Child, Youth, and Family, which if they are, you're following the Washington Administrative Codes, which are known as WACs. Child care centers are, one of the issues is the trilemma, where you're dealing with the affordability, the availability, and the quality of child care, which all kind of are in what kind of position. The problem around that is that there could be, if you want high quality, then you're dealing with high price and availability, right? And there's the cost of high quality childcare because of the wages of the early child care educators that don't provide a living wage. So that's the trilemma that we kind of talked about earlier. Staffing can be an issue with child care centers. There has to be a ratio. If they're licensed, there's only a certain number of children per age group that should be with 1 adult. Those requirements are in the WACs, and sometimes staffing can have high turnover depending on, the burnout rate of staffing in this career. So family child care can be provided in homes. The philosophy can be different. Sometimes the family child care philosophy is a more relational, you have less children in the family care center, so it almost becomes like part of your extended family, very personal. It can be part-time or full-time. Family child care providers need a lot of patience. Usually it's a very long work day. You might have children coming really early, some leaving really late, right? You're accommodating for these families that you're serving. It can have an impact on the family of the provider because you're in their home and it may be this constant environment of having young children around. Training staff can be an issue because you're pretty much having, it's your own business. And so professional development isn't cheap. You might not have the money or the resources to gain that training. Along with that self-employment comes your medical insurance, a retirement plan, and paying taxes on your business. And you can find more here at the Family Child Care Association of Pierce County. So family child care, it can be licensed through the Department of Child, Youth, and Family, and you kind of want that to happen, right? Because then they are following those WACs, which are the Washington administrative codes, to keep children safe, to provide a safe environment, to have a certain ratio so you don't have too many children per adult. And the ratio is going to depend on the youngest child in the family child care home. So if they have an infant, usually it's 4-to-1. So that provider is only going to be watching 4 children, even if you have 1 infant and 3 school-age children. And usually family child care is multi-age, which can be a benefit. I mean, it's kind of nice to have older children around younger children. It's like this family composite, right? So some children, if they're a single child, get to experience what it kind of feels like to have siblings. So the licensor will come every 18 months. They'll be looking at those WACs, and some of those things listed here are what are part of the WAC. So it's really, licensing is all about safety. Licensing came about because of some horrific situations that children were in. And there is a need to have some type of monitoring. So as of July 1st of 2014, 30 hours of training is needed, which is considered a child care basics, to open a child care home or facility. And then you have to have those 15 additional hours of training per year. So you're continually learning. And you can think back on that, the first week or last week when we talked about in merit, how you get those different steps. So these 15 additional hours helps a person move through those steps, and you do get that stipend along with your education benefit as you're earning education. So that can be a good thing. So home visiting programs, these are a couple: parents as partners, nurse family partnership, early intervention, family literacy programs for military. And you can find more at these links, and I'll be posting this PowerPoint in week 3 module, so you can go on and have access to these links if you want them. So Head Start or Early Head Start or Early Childhood Education and Assistance Program, which is ECAP, which is Washington's version of Head Start. And remember, Washington has both Head Start and ECAP. The purpose is to help children and families from low-income backgrounds reach their full potential and be successful in school and life. It's comprehensive. It's a family holistic approach. It values the family as a child's first teacher. The family knows those children, and they are partnered with so that children can get the best learning experience. There's home visits where the educator will visit the home, providing, understanding what that home life looks like. Usually you take an activity to share with the parents so that parents begin to understand that as their child's first teacher, they are implementing learning at home. Children learn even if activities aren't provided, right? They learn a lot from their families. So the oversight of these 2 entities are Department of Child, Youth, and Families, which is Washington State's oversight of ECAP, and then Department of Health and Human Services is the federal oversight of Head Start. They serve low-income families. Head Start 100% poverty, ECAP 110% poverty. They serve children with disabilities. And so that is another way to qualify for ECAP. There's, or Head Start. There's several different things. I mean, low income is kind of the biggest qualifier. And then there's other things like if you have a disability, if your parents have low education status, like possibly not finishing high school. If the child had a low birth weight, if they're a twin or a multiple birth sibling, different things like that. So there are different ways to qualify. So public schools. Public schools provide free education. Anyone can attend. The required age of school entrance is 8 years old. Kindergarten is not required in Washington State. It's state, local, and federally funded, regulated, credentialed, accredited, licensed through the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. Teachers must have a bachelor's degree, a certification, and/or endorsement in the area that they're teaching. The issues are standardized testing, pressure to perform, and money or lack of resources. So for private schools, education may have a philosophy related to a particular teaching view, a principle, of materials, or religion. Families desire a particular method or view taught to their children. So you might choose a private school because of that. It's funded through tuition, grants, and/or endowments. Teachers don't always need a bachelor's degree or to be certified or have an endorsement in the subject they are teaching. It's housed wherever they like as long as regulations and zoning requirements are met. And the issues are a positive, there's more curriculum choice, family involvement. A negative might be a belief that private school is only for the rich. Homeschooling. Families don't like public school district. They may choose homeschooling. Families have beliefs that cause them to want to educate children at home. The main cost are books and materials. Homeschool teachers must submit a signed declaration of intent stating that their child will receive home-based instruction. Parents must keep records of test scores, immunizations, etc., in case they decide to enroll their children in public school. Children take annual achievement tests approved by the Board of Education in the state. And some issues are a lack of social interaction with other peers, balancing school and home boundaries, and subject expertise. Homeschool teachers or parents may not really be subject expertise. So before and after school care, there can be childcare, the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, church-based programs, community programs. There can be clubs, some Boys and Girls Clubs, after-school programs, recreational programs. Programs in Washington State for foster care, there's group homes, private family homes, there's family court, Child Protective Services, CPS, monitors children, places them in these different places. Family court decides whether or not children should be placed, and you can find more at this link. So special education. Department of Health and Human Services oversees or monitors special education federally. So federal law says children with disabilities have special rights. Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction makes sure that those federal and state laws are enacted within public schools. The Washington Partners for Action, Voices for Empowerment, is an advocate group for special education and early intervention, and there are many others, and you can find that at this link. Preschool, parent cooperative schools. They grew out of the nursery school model. Part day programs, they're not childcare. In 1970s, many parent co-ops schools began in our area. Parent education component, so there's a component where parents get together and talk about different child development issues or parenting issues. Parent involvement is required, which makes it a co-op. So parents have some type of requirement that they need to fulfill, whether it's working in the classroom, working outside the classroom, behind the scenes, different things like that. And parents reframed view of children as they participate in a co-op because they see their child as a learner much more than just as the child that they have at home. Other preschools can be center-based, church-based, private, or in-home. Choosing a program. So provide advice to, what would you do to provide advice to a friend who's seeking an early childhood education program for a 3-year-old? What questions do you need to ask? What are some key features of the different programs that are good and some that are bad? What issues do some of the different programs have? Good things to know, to understand for when looking for a early childhood education program, possibly for your own child, or looking for a job, right? Do you want to be working in a center-based program? Do you want to have a home-based program in your home? Do you want to work at a public school, earn a degree, become certified? Do you want to work at a private school? We have Chief Leshai in Puyallup, where it is a public or a private school on the Puyallup Reservation, I believe, and you don't necessarily have to be certified to work in that K through 12 system. So the classroom assessment scoring system, we're going to move a little bit on to how do you promote quality in early childhood education. And I touched on this a little bit in a previous video recording, but so we'll go a little bit more in depth. And so classroom assessment scoring system is an observation tool developed to assess child caregiver interactions and teacher interactions with students. The interactions teachers have with children impact learning, development, and even lifelong achievement. Positive interactions with teachers can produce a positive lifelong experience. The class assessment scoring system is from infant care through 12th grade, and it is currently being used throughout the world. It was developed at the University of Virginia Curry School of Education in the 1990s. Researchers found that interactions impacted child outcomes, and interactions could be objectively measured, right? So you could go into a classroom and you can measure the interactions between a teacher and a student, and you can understand how that interaction is impacting a child's learning. And it's adopted by the Federal Office of Head Start as a way to measure and improve child outcomes. So classroom quality at the pre-K level. There's 3 different domains that are emotional support, classroom organization, and instructional support. And then under these domains, there's dimensions. So under emotional support, you have positive climate, negative climate, teacher sensitivity, regard for student perspective. Classroom organization, you have behavior management, productivity, instructional learning formats, and instructional support is that cognitive domain, concept development, quality of feedback, language modeling, and literacy focus. So we're going to look at positive climate. So underneath positive climate, you have relationships, positive affect, positive communication, and respect. And this is what these look like when you break it down. So when a person comes into a classroom to observe in a pre-K classroom of positive climate, they're going to be looking for physical proximity, closeness of teachers to students, or students coming up to a teacher, right? If students are standoffish, that's not a positive relationship happening there. Shared activities, even relationships between peers, so that you're assisting each other. Matched effect, which means that a teacher's effect matches the student. So if a student is excited, the teacher's excited, right? You're cluing into a child or a student's experience and you're matching their affect. If they're sad, you're coming in a little softer and you're saying, hey, tell me what's going on with you, right? Hey, tell me what's going on with you, even though, as a child is sad. and you're having social conversations. You want to get to know each other. So positive affect, you're smiling, you have laughter, you're enthusiastic. Positive communication, your verbal affection, physical affection, and positive expectations. The idea that all students are learners and can learn, and you believe in them. Respect, you have eye contact with your students, a warm, calm voice. You use respectful language all the time, and there's cooperation and sharing. You're sharing the power of being the teacher, perhaps by having a child come up and lead circle time or share their experience or tell, about their expertise in their understanding of a spider, right? And that a child can be an expert and know more than you. It's super empowering. So we're going to finish with the economics of early childhood investments. I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but high quality early education for all would narrow the achievement gap, which we have been trying to narrow for 40 years. Probably 60 years now. Dozens of preschool programs have been rigorously examined since the 1960s and proven to narrow the achievement gap. Early childhood education can boost children's learning later in life. Many research has been done following children from preschool through grade K. Children who have been in quality preschools have done better than their peers who haven't been in quality preschools through high school. Earning gains from increased enrollment in early childhood education would provide benefits that outweigh the cost of the program because children learn who they are, that they are able to learn, they get excited about being lifelong learners and become contributors to society. Thank you. See you online.